A humble coconut vendor risks his life to save a young American girl drowning on a Rio de Janeiro beach. He asked for nothing in return, but what he didn't know was that this act would change his life forever. The sun beat down on the famous Ipanema beach in Rio de Janeiro. Tourists smiled and lounged under colorful umbrellas, while waves danced along the hot sand. Amid it all, a man with tired steps and sun-scorched skin pulled his coconut cart. "Ice-cold coconut water, fresh from the tree," he shouted with what energy he had left. His name was Joaquim. He was 42 years old, with 2 calluses on each hand and a heart too big for his chest. With every coconut sold, he mentally kept count. One more. Only 5,383 to go to pay for Gabriel's surgery. Gabriel was his 7-year-old son, a sweet, intelligent boy diagnosed with a rare brain tumor. The treatment cost more than a decade of hard labor on the beach. But giving up was never an option. That morning, like every other, Joaquim had woken at 4 a.m., peeled coconuts, packed ice, and walked for miles with his old cart just to secure one more day of hope. He had no idea that morning would change his life forever. The sound of the ocean mixed with cheerful Brazilian music blaring from the beach kiosks. Children played near the water, families snapped photos. But between one customer and the next, Joaquim heard something out of place. A scream. It was sharp, desperate. He scanned the beach and spotted about 50 meters away a child thrashing in the sea. A girl, far too small to face the waves alone. No one seemed to notice. The lifeguards were far down the beach. Without thinking, Joaquim dropped everything. He kicked off his sandals, threw his straw hat to the sand, and sprinted toward the water. The waves were rough. The current pulled hard. But he swam as if the girl were his own child. And maybe she was. With great effort, he reached the girl. She was barely conscious, choking on seawater. Joaquim held her firmly, turned her sideways to free her breath, and paddled back with more strength than he knew he had. When he reached the sand, with the girl in his arms, people gathered. Someone called emergency services. Others clapped. But all he saw was the girl coughing, breathing again, and opening her eyes. He smiled, exhausted. "You're okay now, princess. You're okay." The girl's mother arrived in tears, shocked, trembling. "My God, my daughter! Who saved her? Who?" "That man." Someone pointed to Joaquim, already walking silently back to his coconut cart, as if nothing had happened. The woman ran to him. "Sir, please, let me thank you. You saved my daughter's life. Anything you want." "No need, ma'am. She's okay. That's what matters." "Please, at least accept a reward. You saved our only daughter." Joaquim looked her in the eyes, took a deep breath, and answered simply, "We don't do good things expecting payment. I just did what any father would." And he went back to cutting coconuts. Hearing that, the woman grew even more emotional. She thanked him again and ran back. Minutes later, the girl's father arrived, stunned, desperate. An American man named Richard Stone, one of the top construction tycoons in the U.S. He had gone back to the hotel to retrieve a forgotten phone. When he heard what happened and saw the man who saved his daughter returning to work as if nothing had changed, he stood in silence. But something inside him had changed forever. Days later, the Stone family was back in the United States. The girl, Emily, was recovering well. But Richard couldn't get Joaquim's face out of his mind. He hired a private investigator, not out of suspicion, but out of gratitude. Something told him this simple man needed help. The report arrived in 48 hours. Joaquim dos Santos, Brazilian, 42 years old, street vendor, lives in a small shack with his wife and son, Gabriel. The boy has a brain tumor. Joaquim works 7 days a week to try and pay for the treatment, but is still far from affording the surgery." Richard read in silence, his jaw clenched. "He saved my daughter while his own son is dying, and even needing money, he asked me for nothing." That night, Richard didn't sleep. The next morning, he arranged everything: medical transfer, international flight, the best pediatric neurosurgery team in the world. All expenses covered. But first, he had something even more important to do. It was a Sunday night when a black SUV pulled up in front of Joaquim's humble home. He stepped outside, wiping the sweat from his brow. Richard stepped out of the car. "Mr. Joaquim, please hear me out." "You don't have to thank me, sir. I already told you." "I know, and that's exactly why I'm here. Because someone who does good without expecting anything deserves more than words." Richard handed him an envelope. Inside, a handwritten letter and a medical authorization form. Gabriel would be taken to the U.S., treated by the best, completely free. Joaquim broke down, fell to his knees, his tears mixing with the dirt on the ground. "But why?" "Because you reminded me what it means to be human, and because my daughter is breathing today, thanks to your love for someone you didn't even know." 3 months later, Gabriel returned to Brazil with a wide smile and no tumor. The surgery had been a success. Joaquim returned to the beach, but not with a coconut cart. Now he returned with his son, healed, laughing, ready to play like any child his age. Joaquim no longer needed to work 7 days a week, because in addition to paying for the treatment, Richard had also set up a generous savings account for Joaquim and his family. A gesture of gratitude and a lesson learned. Children played in the sand. The waves came and went. The sea was the same. But the man had been reborn. Some people believe destiny is a straight line, but sometimes it bends in unexpected moments, like when a simple man saves a billionaire's daughter, not knowing who she was. Joaquim asked for nothing, demanded nothing, dreamed of no rewards, but by acting with truth and love, he didn't just change his son's future, he changed 2 entire families. Because true wealth is not measured in dollars, cars, or mansions. True wealth is doing what is right, even when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, like the video and share it with someone who believes in the power of kindness and hope. And of course, subscribe to Tale Weaver Studio, where every week you'll find stories that warm the soul and make the world feel like a better place. Until next time.